Lord of War to the 14 Digital Shaman, Michael H. Adams. And I was watching Forever Conscious Research channel, Mark's channel, and he brought up this book from, he suggested this book, and I see why he suggested it, because him and Dan I get a chest infection from my son. He had one last week, now I get it. Anyways, apropos, he suggested reading this book, Waking Up from Matrix, and I listened to the first 100 pages, and I said, it may be a good idea to read it. Maybe even do videos on it. Just to let you know, I started a new channel on Facebook. Called Loose Farm. And then let me show you what else. I also started a YouTube channel. You don't imagine people say, well, we jumped on the bandwagon too late. We've already started. I've been doing this for years now, a couple years now. Well, in 2020, 21, I was warning people on a daily basis about the agenda that is going on worldwide, and the connection to the Vatican, the J. Crew, and everything else, and the eugenics program. So, anyways, then I had to do some deconstructing from Christianity. And that was a big process. You just can't just do that. When you're someone like me, you can't just leave it after putting all that time and energy into it. And actually, it wasn't my intention to actually deconstruct, but that's what happened when I kept on researching. I hung out with a group of people like Jeff for Truth and Gorilla Vanilla and Vanilla Gorilla. Vanilla Gorilla. That's what it is. Sorry, bro. Can't remember everybody now for some reason. And of course Eddie, Pastor, MacDaddy, and all this. We were a group of us, and we studied it, and we started finding all the contradictions. Like, shit, I'm part of the Matrix still. I thought it was, oh well. So then, yeah, about 2 years ago is when I first heard of Forever Conscious Research channel. I'm not quite sure how I'm falling into that. Somebody said something, I think, or I found it on somebody else's, their YouTube channel talking about it. I can't remember how it all happened. The synchronicity behind it all, but. So anyways, just got the Loose Farm, and got to start that a day or two ago. Got 7 subs there. Woo-hoo. So if you guys think about subbing there, that'd be cool. And so yeah, I have the Loose Farm, and I started that a couple days as well, and I got 31 people so far. Some people already knew me. Some people have known me for the past when I was, part of the Christian right truther branch of the truther movement on the internet. And I'm glad I did it, because I learned a shitload about the Jesuits and the Vatican and their agendas. And I can tell you right now, they definitely were instrumental in what happened over the course of I read the book Lord of the World by Monsignor Benson, the Jesuit priest that wrote that's 100 and some years ago, the agenda. And if you read that book and then you study history in the past century, you go, holy crap, they are the ones. are practicing their black magic on us. So it turns out the Bible is part of the black magic. So anyway, so I listened to this, and I know there's, I don't know how we get a hold of the vegan skeptic. I think from what I saw, he has something on Reddit. I don't think he really has anything going on as far as the YouTube channel. So. But I started listening to this and said, well, shit, this is all the stuff that I figured out on my own, researching and listening to other people and putting the pieces together. So I know for a lot of people, they might hear this stuff and it might go over their head because they haven't done the work, the groundwork to prepare to listen to this. Others, it might be easier for them because of the lack of indoctrination and mind control. I don't know. In the day, honestly, it sounds the most plausible situation that we're in is that we're in some kind of loose farm, that we're being exploited by parasitic interdimensional beings from the other side that we can't see. But I don't know if there really is an answer, what the answer truly is. I know in this book he'll argue that he has the answer, but even Mark, when you listen to him, he doesn't claim that he solidly 100% has the answer how to escape this matrix. I think the ultimate thing is that to recognize that if you can come to recognition that you're not alone. Sorry about my mess in the background. This was a couch and all that. I live in the daddy place, so my son, I got like a single bedroom apartment, little quadplex. So the bedroom is his room, so I have to sleep on the couch. It's just how it is, right? Not much you can do about it in my circumstances, so usually I have a blurry, I have something in the background. I would have like a green screen behind me, but I got a bird there. I don't think the bird would appreciate too much having a green screen put up in front of him like that. So, plus I kind of like the ghosty look about it. But anyways, I think it's worth listening to or reading. It's worth listening to for me at least, because I'm like, wow. I mean, other thing he's talking about, like, yeah, I figured this shit out myself on my own. And I think it takes a lot of work to get to this point. At least it did for me. So anyway, waking up from the Matrix by the vegan skeptic. I wouldn't mind interviewing the guy. Hopefully it turns into befriending. That's a lot of the reasons I interview people is because I want to get to know them, maybe even befriend them, you know what I mean? Because they have something interesting to offer, not only to me, but to anybody else. So it's got all this stuff like the content, chapters of contents. Let's see. Strong evidence behind reincarnation. Is the earth a school for our soul's evolution? The number 33 is coded everywhere, but why? Yeah, Zachary Herbert, I interviewed him once. Repeating time loops are everywhere too. 666 connections that indicate how we live in a hellish realm. And it's interesting because, the original one was about Nero in the Book of Revelation, and it had nothing to do with us. It should have nothing to do with us today, but has been manipulated by Christians and the Jesuits and Judeo-Christianity, and it still is being used that way, right? To me, now it's something to do about us. Even though the original intent was nothing of the sort. Proving how scripted our reality is by using conspiracies. Yeah. Just watch the State of the Union, watch elections. It really is. Politics is, it definitely is theater. At least what we see on the internet and on television. Proving a perspective that the people who woke up to the soul trap need to know. The next one is getting lost in the sauce with dreams and astral projections. How to meditate and the importance of meditation and out of body experiences, OBEEs. Is that OBE? All right. Did I say that right? Anyways, how to achieve lucid dreaming and astral projection much easier. It's part of the problem. And I've been trying this too. And I know people swear that it's real, but I also know a lot of people swear that they've seen Jesus, or they have had some kind of interaction, some supernatural interaction with some kind of being, and that interaction turned out to be nothing but a disaster for humanity. So, and I've had my own out of body experiences and lucid dreams, and I mean, they sticked with me, that's for sure. But how much do I know? How much do you know for? See, that's part of the problem. The situation that we are in. How do we know 100% for sure we're not being screwed there as well? So, but this seems to be the closest thing to at least explaining why we're here. Dangers behind the Earth being hijacked, and Tartaria narratives. And then mud flood and all that jazz. What about saving this matrix with group action? Yeah. As this life a video game? Some of these questions I don't know are truly answerable. So, the dangers of psychedelics pertaining to reincarnation soul trap. A reply to a Redditor about my psychedelics posts. Why I believe that NPCs exist in real life. The funny thing about that is I think we all view each other as that, don't we? Are we just advanced NPCs slash AI in our essence? Issues with Wes Pernay and escaping from the holes of the grid trap. Interesting. If I pronounced his name right. Gatekeeper red flags from a well-known YouTuber in the community. I wonder if people view me as a gatekeeper, even though I'm just a nobody. 100% absolute freaking nobody. What about Eric DeBay and David Icke? Yeah, what about them? Well, are they failing us too? Most likely. Well, definitely they're. I mean, you're marrying a Thailand woman who's the daughter of a general. Is it Thailand or Vietnam or wherever he's over there? And David Icke has always been a gatekeeper, but that gatekeeper was necessary. It was necessary for me to listen to both these people to formulate my worldview today, right, or my perception of what the world is. So, What about the law of one? Yeah, what about that? Interesting enemy about human eating aliens that farm humans. Benefits of, so this part, I haven't got to this part in my listening to the, so I know benefits of a healthy diet when it comes to exit plans. Conspiracies about veganism, Soylent Green movie. Yeah, well, that's what's going on. Soylent Green is this what they want us to do is, well, they want us to perish. They want 95% of us to be gone. My exchanges with someone on Reddit regarding these issues. What about SV3, or I guess it's Riggy's malnourishment claims? Why financial freedom is important and how do I plan to achieve it? I wonder if he's achieved it yet, because I don't think there is such a thing. So, even though just a list of conscious YouTubers I recommend following. I'm sure I'm not it, but I'm sure I influence somebody and they don't even realize it. A warning about the scammers and soul trap community, which he'll bring up one and some people in particular that at the time he wrote them, he didn't think they were, and a bonus chapter. So, anyways, we'll see what happens here. I haven't read a book in a while. I said, well, I thought this might be one to do. It's a little different. It's in line with my thinking, how I perceive the world, but strong evidence behind reincarnation. Although I know Mark and Dan and all that say there's strong evidence because of the story, and I doubt it seriously. Those guys have actually. He'll make a claim here in this book that they've studied thousands of cases of near-death experiences. I doubt that. Thousands is too strong a word. Hundreds would be more logical. But thousands? Man, that's a lot of fucking time. And I don't know how you could study thousands of cases. I mean, even stuff I've been doing, it's just impossible to study thousands individually. I mean, that's what you need. You need a computer and a database. You would need to have something to plug it in. Plug in the information to thousands, even hundreds would be an incredible challenge to suss it all out. So manually on paper or in your head. So I don't care how smart you are. Strong evidence behind reincarnation. I would like to mention early that I firmly believe that no one can claim anything with certainty when discussing the afterlife. Very important thing. So nobody knows for certainty when discussing the afterlife. If anyone claims to know for sure what happens after death, they are either delusional or fraudulent. Well, that's what happens when you're in Christianity or religion, right? You hear something over and over again and you believe it without challenging it. Once you challenge it, all falls apart. Like the Bible has actually very little about what the afterlife really is. And the Old Testament, the Jews there didn't seem to be interested in the afterlife at all. They were more interested in the present. It was Christendom or Judeo-Christianity that started offering up this, which, by the way, wasn't even their original thought. I mean, if you look at do I have it near me? Who is it? Philo. Philo, for one. Philo was thinking about that. Philo was thinking about that long before, and the Greeks were thinking about that. So it's very much part of the Greek mythology and theology. So we can form our opinions on these matters, but exploring various available data points, and having our own experiences. We can form our own opinions on these. I think that's the important thing in all this. Have freedom to form your own opinions, which, by the way, for the most part in this world, it just might be the only time in the history of mankind has actually had the right to do this, and that is to form your own opinions. Of course, these are opinions that you are not going to be able to plug into the structure. In other words, if you are a professor or somebody has tenure and work for a university or a corporation, you're not going to be able to push this shit on people. So yeah, these are opinions that we have in our own little limited hangouts, but they're not something that is available for most people even today throughout the world to have these opinions. And when you express your opinions seriously and you really challenge and push back on the system, you're going to end up like me. There ain't no way you're going to have thousands of subs. You'll know what I know what true censorship is after what I went through. What true, not speculative, true censorship is on the internet after standing up for humanity, pushing back against the global agenda, going out in the street with signs and warning people about what was going to happen if they went along with the agenda, actually doing the magnet test on people who are brave enough to do it, really experiencing the real darts and insults and, maybe in the corner in the middle of my town. And by the way, I'm the only person, I was the only person who did it. I didn't see anybody else doing it. I know there's other people that talked about it that I found here and there on the internet. And they were much easier, by the way, people like me to find 4 years ago. Definitely 7 or 10 years ago for sure. 7 years, it was much like 2015, it was easier to find people. 2014. And like-minded people, alternative, truly alternative point of views, challenging what was going on. Now it's just kind of a very limited hangout again. I mean, and somehow a certain group of guys have been chosen to be the spokesmen for the Soul Trap Matrix, even though it was Bob Monroe that talked about it. And people claim that they had their own. The problem is like one of those things. And I claim the same thing, but it's not like I work on it, and I can't prove to you that it happened. I mean, I've seen a lot of people shake their heads in agreement about a lot of shit that turned out not to be fucking true. That's the problem. So I'm not condemning anybody. I'm just forewarning everybody and to tell you where I'm coming from. I'm highly skeptical about every damn thing I hear at this point, or even witness, because I think it's just we're at such a the meat suit, the avatar that we're in is part of the sentence that we are. I think it's this place is. There's so many things wrong about it. There's so many things wrong. If anything, this is done another layer that convinces me that psychologically, mentally, physically, this is hell. This place is a nightmare for us for whatever reasons. Anyways, let's get back into this. So I was talking about this. This is all. So talking about we can form our opinions on these matters by exploring. And by the way, you probably can turn off me commenting, but I'm not going to do as much commenting as you think. I'm just doing the beginning. And there'll be phases through it. There'll be times when it will. And if it takes me 50 readings to do this. Who cares? You know? This is all one can do, and that is precisely what I have done based on my thousands of hours of research, and I've done the same for thousands. Literally, that's one thing I can say. And I believe that if other people probably have done the same thing, if I because that means every single day I've researched the reality of my life and the things around me and what's on the internet. So I can say it's been it's been every single day from the time I woke up to the time I've gone back to bed, outside, excluding my responsibilities as a single father. And there was at times when, say, my computer is down. Like last summer, I spent a lot of time playing the guitar, but I was still deconstructing. I was still following or hanging out with the people that I met on TikTok. You know what I mean? Which is a very, very limited hangout, and I don't like waste my time watching videos on TikTok. I found a group of people that were interested. We're preterists, full preterists, right? That means we realized that everything in the New Testament was supposed to happen during the Jesus generation, right? He was coming back at the end of their generation, before the destruction of the temple. That's what it's all really about. That's what the whole New Testament has zero to do with anybody today, except they frickin' managed to infest billions of people thinking otherwise. And I can only imagine what people have gone through, like myself, who had two brain cells and were able to read and actually start seeing clearly what the book was actually really saying, and then going through the process of being rejected, dismissed, told to shut up, summarily exited, escorted to the door, and that's never to come back. Christianity is all about lying, and I didn't realize that. It took a long time for me to realize that. So I have a lot of empathy for people who are under the religious snare mentality, the trap, and I doubt that a lot of the people that on the internet really know the degree of it. And they usually are people that did not have that kind of background of upbringing. So, yeah, I would love to talk to a few of you guys that will be mentioned here about how in depth did you really study it? Because I got a feeling you and I are not going to be on the same page when it comes to that particular topic. And it's not because I'm better. I think it really is because that I needed to do it. I really needed to break down the Vatican, the Jesuits, Christianity, Christian right. I really needed to break down the Bible. I needed to break down Judaism. I had to break down all that and challenge it all, right? To verses and books and chapters within the thing called the Bible. That's why last year I burnt it. I finally, after all those years of studying, I realized this is a book of black magic. It's not a book to answer any questions. So you might say that how can you be that's so simple? That's like your low level of awakened awareness. Am I? Yeah. Thanks for letting me know what your opinion is. I got a feeling that like this whole thing about the soul trap matrix might be the biggest part of everything. But I don't know if at the end of the day it will actually lead to any answer. I think the only answer for me is just to say no. I don't want to be part of this. And it's because of my personality, and it's easy for me to be a wallflower and observe, so. And then make my opinions. This is taking time, though, right? But when you're trying to find yourself in this realm, when you have no identity, and when the girl that you fall in love with rejects you and it will happen numerous times for stupid reason for breaking up. But in her mind, it's not. But then again, we're talking about we're not as smart as we like to pretend we are. That's what it comes down to. No one is. Anyways, I didn't got to finish the first paragraph. I'm also open to changing my views on any topic for more compelling information and evidence arises. If more compelling information or evidence arises. I agree with that. And by the way, I'm not challenging this author. I'm not challenging him saying he doesn't know what he's talking about, because I know he knows what I know. Let's put it that way. I have altered my perspective on numerous occasions in the past, and I'm always willing to do so again. I think you have to, if you're doing this truther journey, if you're really pursuing the truth, you have to be willing to swallow crow, change your mind, go different directions, even if it causes consternation and hatred or confusion with other people. I mean, you have to be willing to go down the paths. And so, what I have found is most of this is just fucking make believe. I can see why they call it a hologram or some kind of an illusion, because I think we all live in fantasy and fiction. I'm not talking about the physical side of it. I'm not talking about the predacious physical violent side. I'm talking about between our ears. It's very difficult for an individual to see clearly about anything. From my observation and talking to another individual about it, even them to be honest about that is impossible almost. And the only reason I can say that today is because I've lost everything in the process. So I can look at myself and say, and maybe it's the only, positive thing I got from the neglect and intellectual and verbal abuse from my father and my mom was just realization that I really am not that important or that special. So, and I'm going to go out and have a cigarette on my front porch, and there's a bunny that's there every single time, literally. I would say 90% of the time. About 20 feet away from my porch, it likes to hang out under this yew. Obviously, there's a kind of bunny hole under that yew, anyways, and he's looking at me, and I'm looking at it, and I've watched it from it was a couple inches long to now it's almost a year old, and me and him have gotten used to each other, or her. I don't know if it's a her or he. I don't know. But anyways, I looked at that rabbit. I looked at the bird in his cage. My son's animals, and I just realized I'm not much different than the bird in the cage. The rabbit might have more freedom in some ways than I do. The physical constraints of the body, the physical constraints of the place that I live. You know what I mean? There's no real freedom. And I think the biggest thing is to come to terms with the fact that you are a slave, Nemo, and how you're going to get the fuck out. And why does it, people just flip their wig, man, and change their sexuality or all sorts of crazy stuff to try to find themselves. Or maybe it is just to rebel against the day merge and the creator of this place. I know I feel like constantly putting my middle finger in the air. Believe me, just stick with me. If you don't like this, just the next recording will be much more. This is my way of venting right now, okay? So I'm venting right now before I actually get into the task of reading 300 pages. of a book that so far I've heard I agree with, I would say, or I have familiarity with just about all of it. So I can't think of anything that I've heard yet in the first 100 pages that I didn't already know. So, and the reason why I know that is because I had to put the time into it. It's not just because of Mark or Dan or Wayne or all the other guys that don't know anything about me. And the reason I know them is because I put the time to listen to them. All right? So I think the important thing in all this thing is to always remember you really don't know anything, and it's quite reasonable, and a journey to pursuing the truth is to take different courses of action. Being dogmatic and rigid about your belief system will just keep you locked into another illusion, another delusion. And this is part of just reality. How do you know that? By challenging whatever your belief is, really going at it. Finding as much as you can about it, and then looking for the contradictions, the loopholes, right? Another important point that needs to be made is that even though the information I will be presenting in this ebook may seem unbelievable, I do not advocate prematurely departing from this reality. In fact, I argue the opposite. This must be talking about suicide or something. It is important to contemplate these issues and engage in necessary practices for as long as possible in order to come to as close as possible guaranteeing a path to stopping the cycle of reincarnation. I argue that this kind of tricks, deceptions, and distractions in this realm is so pervasive, and great amounts, that it is smart to use one's remaining time to learn how to protect oneself against these system tricks, deceptions, and distortions. Plus the fact that most of us are too damn cowardly to do it. I would argue that I have never met too many people who are so brave as to just take themselves out like that. Usually, though, I notice like in older cultures, more, like First Nations people would, when it was time to go, they were allowed to go, right? They used to get old age, they were starting to be a burden on the tribe, or they couldn't travel with the tribe and all that, and it was realistic, and they just allowed themselves to pass away, whatever it may be, So I think there is times for that. I don't. I question a lot about this whole thing about even when it comes to out-of-body experiences, near-death experiences, how much is it really real? How much is just our imaginations? That is basically it's an accumulation of information we've gathered through the internet, television, interacting with friends and family, school, whatever. And then we kind of make up our own damn thing, we convince ourselves that we're making up our own damn thing. Really, we're not. But we'll go on with this. So no one knows exactly what would take to stop the loop reincarnation. That's right. So nobody knows. So it's very dangerous to take anything that, and I'm not knocking Mark or Dan or Wayne, and you'll find out who these guys are, as like gurus or godlike, or like they got it all figured out. No, they're sharing their opinion. They're talking about stuff taking it from a different angle that makes sense to me and several small thousands of other people. But it's not that big of a movement, and it might blow up. But in the end of the day, it's still a movement that can't be quantified, verified, or validated 100%. Like that rabbit that's in my front that I see every day when I have a cigarette. I can qualify that. I can quantify that. I can prove that that's happening. I could film it every day. I'm not gonna, but I could film me having a cigarette every day when I have it on the porch. I'm not going to do that. But I know that I could 100% do that. When it comes to this stuff, I can't prove 100% that when our heart stops and the brain dies, that's not the end of all of this. I want to believe there's something afterwards because, man, I got fucking shafted this round when it comes to life. I mean, I really got fucking screwed. You know what I mean? And the thing is, it's very disturbing to me is that billions of other people right now have had worse and have had it worse. And that was really, because I still have empathy and compassion for people who, for most part, don't have it for me at all. They talk about it, some people do, but they don't really have it. I know that, because someone would be in my life. None of them are. So, this is a bitch of a ride for me, and but then again, when I say I want a better ride next time, or I don't want to come back here. I don't even know what that means. I think at the end of the day, if free means is I just, if I were allowed to be in this physical realm, then I want to be able to scale a mountain. I want to be able to swim that lake. I want to be able to make love to that beautiful woman. I want to be able to build a house. I want to live that. And I'm not allowed to do any of that. And I also recognize you're not allowed to do that. That only a few of you are even have that opportunity. We be in the right place at the right time, doing epigenetics and who you know more than what you know, and yeah, it's not fair. This place is brutally not fair. I need to take a break. This stuff upsets me. That's why I don't like talk. It upsets me so much. I mean, it's all fascinating at first until it really starts sinking in. And by the way, it's not the first time it's sinked in. There's reasons why I push back, I go away, I pull away from this. I will literally take. And the course of this past 12 years, I've taken off sometime. I mean, I know like 2019, or in 2018, I started like getting into like raising fish. This whole room that you're seeing was all covered in fish tanks. All right, raising guppies and shit like that. And then, I picked up my guitar. I was like, I just want to start playing music again. I always just want to learn how to play that damn guitar and write music. I never wanted to do this. I didn't want to know all this shit. All right, and then 2019, end of 2019, start seeing things, and then next thing I'm like, what happened in 2020, the beginning, I'm like, fuck, if I don't say something, if I don't do something, fight for people who don't give a fuck about me, I will never be able to live with myself, right? So then that lasted till middle 2022, and then I just like, shit, this is a fucking waste of time, isn't it? This place is just going to play out the way it's going to play out no matter what I know. I could spend my whole time worrying people about the next injustice that's befallen right before us, right? And is it doing any good? I mean, I do believe I saved a few lives, which is more than most people can actually say, I found out. But for what? To stay here in this shithole? I mean, I don't know what I'm doing that's any good anymore. People say, "Oh, you're this. This is this." Now I'm talking this way. Someone's going to say, "Yeah, well, he's a gatekeeper. He's a disinformation agent. He doesn't know what he's talking about." I'm like, bullshit. If I don't, I know exactly what I'm talking about. If you could take the journey I've taken, which many of you have, and you can't come to this point where you're like, "What the fuck is any of this any good for?" Really? Am I changing the world? I mean, that's one of the reasons I went back to actually focusing on Bigfoot once I realized that everything I fucking learned is wrong, including in the Bigfoot community, and that I'm stuck here on my own to figure out this whole thing. It's almost like at the end of the day, and it's not almost, it actually is. I have an individual script that's been handed me. This is how I'm going to see things, and that nobody knows has the answer for me but me, and that only comes through time and experience. No one else can give me the answers. As much as I want people, I want a clear path. I'm 56. I still want that clear path. You know what I mean? But it comes time you start to realize there is no clear path. There's no guarantee, as they say about anything in this place. It's just for one thing: you're going to be fucked with. You're going to be screwed with, and you ain't going to have a clue what this place really is as much as you think you do. Oh, you might learn all you can about politics and the corruption about it, or religion, or maybe it's a job that you have, right? And you become very proficient and highly skilled at whatever trade you're in, right? Which, by the way, is probably more than what most people will ever accomplish anyways, right there. Being highly skilled at the trade that you're in, whatever you may be. You're a machinist, right? Some sort. Tool and die guy. Or you're an engineer. Or you're somebody that can build a freaking mansion. And you know everything about building a mansion from, the basement on up, right? Everything that needs to be done. That's more than most people can accomplish. Maybe you're a person that can actually restore a car. Or maybe you're a person that actually knows how to actually manufacturing a car from the very mining the minerals to turning that into what we call a car, and you understand about it. I mean, there's mechanical engineering seems to be very much something that's tangible and provable, right? Then there's the other side of things, things that happen to us, the things that are mysterious, mystical, and supernatural. And I know we don't like those terms because it's not scientific. Well, fuck it. Still is what it is, and science still can't answer these fucking things, and they're more than just having strange things happen in your brain, chemistry, that kind of stuff. Or, they're not just illusions or hallucinations. People have real weird fucking experiences. I know that because I had it myself, and occasionally still do. And I'm just like, what's that all about? You know what I mean? And why does one guy like Bill Gates allowed to, or Elon Musk allowed to be propped up and act as some kind of little king, and the rest of us suffer? And why is everything such a damn fucking illusion? I mean, it's like, and ultimately everything's about having an orgasm. I don't know if you noticed that. That sounds pretty bizarre, but everything's about having an orgasm. Even getting high and drugs and lose, or getting drunk and all. It's all about trying to have that orgasm. That point of singularity, right? And, you're making love to a really hot chick, and and all the juices and energy are released, and all that, and that tension is released. That is that seems to be the only thing that it's all about, really. I mean, it sounds so simple and so maybe base, but I think it really is that. One form or another, right? So we don't really know what this fuck's place is. So. That's right, Bird. That's right, Bird. So I went out and had another cigarette on my porch, and It's amazing to me that that bunny found the perfect location. It's like where I stand. It's like the direction that I look. It's like every single time it's right there looking back at me. So bizarre. I don't know if there's some kind of meaning behind all that. I have no idea. I guess maybe I should look into that. I mean, it's like always looking at me. Yeah, it's like it. It's so past year has been part of my life just about every single day, and definitely lately it has been. Um, it's like found the perfect spot to be seen by me every single time. I don't know what that's all about. Nobody knows exactly it would what it would take to stop the loop reincarnation, but leaving early via suicide could potentially take away much needed time and the preparation necessary to awaken from all the layers of matrix. Although the experience of this realm could be difficult for many people, for most people we're talking about, that's an understatement. I will prove coping provide coping strategies I've discovered and many other important things later in the ebook. With that said, I will begin this chapter with important definitions, followed by a brief introduction of myself. Yeah, so, there's no way of knowing if this, taking yourself out of the game is or isn't the answer, right? Really. But most of us, we're hardwired to do it. We can't do it, you know what I mean? I think about it with all things I go through at times, and it's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows. The terms agnosticism and Gnosticism are used in philosophy to describe one's level of knowledge and certainty about the existence of God or gods. Agnosticism refers to belief that it is impossible to know whether a God or God exists, while Gnosticism is the belief that it is possible to know for certain whether a God or God doesn't exist. And I tell you what, the Gnostics have some interesting points, but they don't demonstrate that they know it. So either. Anyways, on the other hand, theism and atheism refers to beliefs about the existence of a god or gods. Theism refers to the belief that one or more gods exist, while atheism is the belief that there is no god or gods. Yes. No, no. The question of whether one believes in God or not is a matter of personal belief. Yep. While the question of whether or not one knows whether God exists or not is about knowledge. These two questions are distinct and cannot be used interchangeably. If someone identifies as an atheist, it is unclear whether they are a Gnostic atheist who asserts that they have knowledge that God does not exist, or agnostic atheists who do not believe in the existence of a god or gods, but also acknowledges that they do not know for certain whether or not God exists. Similarly, if someone identifies as agnostic, it is unclear whether they are an agnostic theist who believes that the existence of God is unknowable but chooses to believe, or an agnostic atheist who believes that the existence of God is unknowable and chooses not to believe. Conversely, there are individuals who identify as Gnostic theists, confidently believing that they possess knowledge that a god or gods exist. There are different sects of Gnostics, such as Proto-Gnosticism, Israelite Gnosticism, Syrian, Egyptian Gnosticism, Persian Gnosticism, and last but not least, Christian Gnosticism, which I will talk more about later on. Which I think I was, well, I know I was one of those. In 2006, I became an agnostic atheist regarding the intelligent creator of our world. At the time, I had a website about evolution and frequently debated the topic of evolution and atheism with many religious individuals. Through these debates, I was able to successfully convince many people, including two of my best friends and family members, to change their minds on these issues. However, in 2020, I experienced an unexpected paradigm shift that made me realize everything I had believed about life and our existence was false. Imagine that. The realization caused me to consider my stance on the existence of an intelligent creator. I had a series of incredible experiences that opened my eyes to a new perspective on spirituality and the universe. I would really like to interview this guy. I don't know if I can get a hold of him. I had the opportunity to share my complete journey of awakening with Mark from Forever Conscious Research channel on YouTube. I think I know who this person is. During our conversation, we delved deep into my personal experience and beliefs. The video was viewed by almost 10,000 people, and the positive attention it generated has been truly gratifying. I have to look back into that video, or which video that one that is. Unfortunately, this is I don't think I can. Yeah, because it's archived out, or I can't get to that. It looks like the ebook would have a link to that video. My love for learning new things and sharing my knowledge with others has always been a driving force for me. As someone from Turkey who is currently 30 years old, so he's not that old. I mean, if you're that young and they have that, I think of this. To be that young and to be that aware of these things, it's got to be interesting in its own right to see. Because it's taken me, so I was in my mid-50s to wake up to this shit. I mean, mind you, when I was 30, his age, I was doing, I had my own business, Adams Enviroscape. I was greenscape, working developers out to conserve parcels of land, restore stuff, wildflower meadows, boardwalks, bogs, planting indigenous trees, etc. And I proved that they could make more money, but 9/11 happened and it really screwed up everything. Sent a lot of us in a tailspin, believe it or not. And then the financial crisis that they created 8 years later, and just like, and I never would have even done any of this. I probably never would even be reading this if it wasn't for my son being born, to be honest with you. I just would have been like, and I still, it's in my nature, it's in my personality to say, who the fuck knows? Because that's the honest answer to much of this is, who the fuck fucking knows? Anyways, I spent the past 17 years passionately researching and expanding my understanding of various topics. My interest in these topics grew significantly after I learned about atheism and decided to stop being a Muslim. Discovering that some people did not believe in God came as a shock to me. I was indirectly introduced to this concept by a school friend who shared a Turkish subtitled version of a comedian George Carlin's stand-up comedy bit about religion on his Facebook account. The bit was taken from Carlin's HBO live broadcast stand-up special named You Are All Diseased, recorded in February 6, 1999 at the Beacon Theater in New York City. And I was able to see George Carlin, and George Carlin. And was it 2005-ish, 6-ish, around that time period, right before he passed away. Discovering that some people did not believe in God can shock it. After watching that video, I was compelled to talk to my father and share my discoveries that people did not believe in God. This experience ignited my passion for research, and I began watching every video I could find about atheism and evolution. My new discovery shortly led me to become an agnostic atheist, which only fueled my love for research further. Since then, I have hardly gone a few days without reading or watching something to expand my knowledge and learn new things. I know that feeling. I don't think I've ever had a day, which it hasn't been that way for 12 years. Engaging in respectful debates with others and sharing my knowledge through writing has been a passion of mine for the past 17 years. I've been specifically writing online articles concerning afterlife for the last 3 years during my conversation with Mark. I also presented some of my online articles to him and his audience. I would also share some of my writings on Reddit, and when someone on Reddit asked me to turn on my writings, to turn one of my writings into a Word document so that he could read it on his Kindle, and knowing that my brother also asked me for the same thing before, this gave me the idea to compile all my writings into a book format where I could further expand my ideas and just present them in a more cohesive manner. Well, I do respect him doing that. I'm not good at writing, so I haven't done that. Later, although I have started my book, I got the first 100 pages done, but then I take like breaks with that because it's always like a new chunk of learning that I need to. It seems I need to download, as they say. I don't know if it's real downloading or not, to be honest with you. Later, in September 22, I shared my first version of the book on Reddit, coincidentally as a public service announcement offering the knowledge I had gained to as many people as possible. Eventually, someone also suggested that I publish the book on Amazon Kindle Direct Self-Publishing. My book would reach a wider audience. I plan to do this in the future. Apparently that's already happened, right? Because here I am reading it now on archive.org. Somebody decided to put it on dark. I think he did it. I think he himself put this on archive.org. So if he did that, then he has no problem me reading this. He should at least. The more people can benefit from the information in this ebook, when I publish the revamped version of the ebook in the future. I also wouldn't mind at all if someone were to ask me to send them an ebook for free to them. Hopefully, it's obvious to others that I am not trying to make money from any of this, that I am just trying to share what I was lucky enough to learn with others. Despite these shortcomings, I believed that it was important to release the ebook with others and share the issues I was exposing with as many people as possible, because I think that the issues I discussed in the ebook is not being talked enough. After years of extensive research and exploration on various topics, I have gained a profound understanding of our current situation. Yeah, we're all being fucked at every goddamn fucking level, literally. I added that. And what is possibly required to eventually reclaim our sovereignty from any layers of this world. God, how much is that just a delusion in its own right? Which can be best described as the Matrix. I have delved into numerous rabbit holes, and so have I, that's for sure. And I have greatly benefited from the knowledge I've gained. I argue that one. And now I am eager to share the knowledge with others. My intention with this ebook is to save people from wasting their time going down endless rabbit holes and from falling into deceptions that I myself have previously fallen from. I think almost it's necessary to go down these endless rabbit holes. I think it's noble what he just said there, but I don't know. I mean, if you're a thinker and a questioner, you're going to have to do it anyways, because you can't just blindly accept what, vegan skeptic has to say, or me for that matter, or anybody else. I strive to provide groundbreaking, thought-provoking, and paradigm-shifting information. Ultimately, I want to challenge readers' beliefs about their existence and make them aware of the deceptions and distractions that extend beyond this earth. I am confident that every reader of this ebook will gain valuable insights and knowledge from its pages. And being where he's at, it'd be interesting to see how confident he is about that just a few years later after reading this or writing this. Because if you really keep on going down the journey of finding the truth, you're going to start questioning even if where you're at. It becomes habit. I don't know. My aim is to create this ebook. Is that upon completion would leave readers with an improved mindset about their existence, making it impossible for them to return to their old beliefs. To achieve this goal, I have presented all evidence I could find to make the case I am presenting as strong as possible. Good luck doing it in a book, by the way. However, let me be clear that I am not trying to persuade anyone to accept everything presented in the ebook. Rather, I will be analyzing the available evidence and sharing my own conclusions based on it, leaving it up to you to come to your own conclusions. I believe everyone should always do their own research and never fully trust anyone or anyone. I understand that some of the material I will present may seem unconventional. I urge you to scrutinize the evidence that I present. Utilize your critical thinking abilities and intelligence and refrain from being overly closed-minded and reaching unwarranted conclusions. Fair enough. My passion for research only intensified after realizing that my beliefs regarding the afterlife were incorrect. This revelation led me to question what other misconceptions I have, prompting me to engage in even more extensive research for the past 3 years. As a result of thousands of tireless hours of investigating all the different data points related to our existence and the afterlife, I have come to important conclusions that I believe are worth considering by everyone. I have personally come to the realization that reincarnation is an undeniable aspect of our existence. I'm still questioning that part of things still. Even with every the information that's been provided to me so far. So how can you do that? It's pretty damn easy. I've been around people that said they've seen Jesus. Need I say any more? The mere fact that we exist in this moment implies that we have been here at least once before. Don't know about that. But the question remains, is this one-time occurrence or do we continue to come back? This is the heart of the concept of reincarnation. Well, it seems to me that most cultures had some concept of this, right? From indigenous First Nation people in the Americas to, Asia Minor, throughout the Eurasia, parts of Africa. So, and so the question is it really reincarnation or is it genetics? That's part of the thing to deal with as well. Then there's, what do I say? I don't know, man. It seems plausible, let's put it that way. I mean, there's got to. I think the ultimate thing is comes down to what's the purpose? It's either this is there is no purpose, and it's just about pain and suffering and just trying to pass one seed, or it is there's I think it's the ultimate question of what's the purpose of this life, right? Why all the pain and suffering? What are the lessons really to be learned when clearly nobody's learning any fucking lessons? And yet, humanity has had this concept for a long time of reincarnation. So, I'll shut up. Let's keep moving. I don't know about the undeniable aspect of it. I have not been convinced by anybody yet that it's undeniable. I know that will upset them. I don't mean to upset them in the apple cart there. I just, there's still some loopholes. There's still, the thing is you have to question everything, including the existence of it. So, as a former Gnostic atheist of nearly 15 years regarding the existence of the creator of our universe, I was one of those individuals who vehemently denied the concept of reincarnation without truly exploring the purported evidence with an open mind. When we encounter ideas that challenge our understanding of the world, our instinct is to reject them outright. Now, I've been putting time into this thing, so I'm not rejecting it outright. I put a lot of time into it, by the way. And in my case, whether I encountered spiritual issues in the past, I would only seek out information that refuted them, adding to and the term debunked in my research, dismissing any information that didn't align with my preconceived notions. Fortunately, this type of closed-minded perspective is prevalent among so-called skeptics today. Unfortunately, this type of open-minded perspectives is prevalent among so-called skeptics today, just as it was for me in the past. And I think there's an ebb and flow with that thing too, by the way. If you're really going down this journey of trying to find the truth, there's this ebb and flow thing going on. There's times that I'm not interested in debunking this guy or anybody else, right? I'm interested in knowing the truth. Or I'm not. I don't care. If he's not saying the truth, what's his irrefutable, the truth, then it is what it is. There's going to be loopholes in it, right? And one has to just swallow a crow and say, "Oh, imagine that! I was wrong again about something. Imagine that! Hey." When someone becomes an agnostic atheist, it's often after a long period of questioning and exploring their beliefs about the existence of higher power. They may have had negative experiences, organized religion, or simply found the evidence of the existence of the deity was lacking. And if you study the Bible, man, I know one thing. You seriously study it, you're going to come to the realization that Jesus really is a Greek demigod, a creation, an amalgamation of all that, and in reaction to the Jewish war 2,000 years ago. And it's so perfect. And this whole messianic, savior, that they kept it going, and it contradicts 100% everything in the Old Testament, from the virgin birth to human sacrifice to sacrificing your own children. Everything that Yahweh would say, they did the opposite, right? And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because it's all bullshit anyway. So, because you can just find endless. There's not a few contradictions, people. There's thousands. Once you open up your eyes, if somebody has to help you, first thing you got to do is get immediacy of the message when it comes to the New Testament. I do believe that the preterist point of view is really helpful for one to break free from the shackles of the Bible and Christianity. When you realize that it was all supposed to happen in the 1st century AD, during the Jesus generation, he said he's coming back in their generation, that some will still be standing there, that he was judging the Pharisees, Sadducees, the scribes and elders, the people of Jerusalem, right? But then you see how, it mirrors Titus and his military campaign and etc. It is on and on you just go, shit, this is just, it was old Roman propaganda, right? It's what they do now with us. I mean, I see it constantly happening in all sorts of movements, right? Steering the movements, to think that's not happening now with the Soul Trap Matrix thing, that there's not supposed paid shills. I'm sure someone's going to say I'm one, and I'm like, that's how fucked up the whole fucking thing is that somebody's going to literally say, Mike Adams is some kind of paid shill and all this, right? Or that I have some new ideology. And I'm just like, no, I'm studying this stuff. I always keep it open, that release valve. I'm always allowing myself to say, you know what, I went down this road. Certain parts of it resonate and are solid, but other parts there's huge gaping holes, or there's issues that cause me not to be aligned with it. So, or that I'm not going to be, but I'm not taking on any title. If you can call me whatever you want and claim whatever ideology you have, I'm just a dude, just a critter in the forest trying to figure out how the fuck I showed up here, and why I am going through all this shit I'm going through, and is there any hope in any of this? Any purpose in any of this? I'm nothing more than that. I'm a single father, struggling with multiple sclerosis, who has a bird in the background right now chewing away at shit, and wakes me up every morning, and I'm glad that that bird's there. And I'm glad that that rabbit is out there in my front. I'm glad, um, that's about it. I don't know what I'm glad with anymore. Anyways, we sometimes become agnostic. When someone becomes agnostic, atheist, it is often after a long period of questioning and exploring their beliefs and existence, blah, 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 blah. After coming to the realization, they may feel a sense of freedom and really. They may have negative experiences with organized religion. Oh yeah, we talked about it. After coming to the realization, they may feel the sense of freedom and relief as if they have broken free from the constraints of dogma and superstition, only to be hit in the head with another layer of dogma and superstition. Isn't that just wonderful? However, this newfound sense of freedom can sometimes lead to a certain degree of closed-mindedness. What's habitual, right? When it comes to spiritual topics. Define what spiritual is, first of all. Individuals may believe that freeing themselves from their past religious beliefs is enough to free themselves from all other deceptions. Far from that, I can guarantee you that. I can guarantee you that one. They may feel that they have already explored the possibilities of existence of a deity and have found it lacking, and therefore feel no need to explore other spiritual concepts. This happens quite a bit. This type of closed-mindedness can be dangerous, as it can lead to a lack of exploration and understanding of different belief systems and spiritual practices. I can prevent individuals from seeing the value of different perspectives, and it can prevent individuals from seeing the value of different perspectives and can hinder their personal growth and development. It is important to remain open-minded and curious even when it comes to spiritual topics, in order to fully explore and understand the world around us. I am aware that this statement may anger some agnostic atheists out there, as it would have angered me, my past self, when I was agnostic atheist. However, for many agnostic atheists, science can become a type of religion. It is. What do you mean? Can. This is because they view science as the only means of comprehending the world and the universe around us. They may have complete faith in scientific theory and explanations, thinking that these can clearly clarify everything that exists, including the spiritual aspects of life. Of course, that cannot be the case. Now, defining what is spiritual in the first place. This perspective is often referred to as scientism, which is basically the belief that science is the only reliable source of knowledge and truth. It's like they turned science into a demigod. Have you noticed that? An egregore. While science has certainly brought us a tremendous amount of knowledge and advancements, it cannot fully explain the spiritual aspects of things. How about the unknown? That would be the phenomenal. The phenomenal around us, right? I don't know why. The thing spiritual drives me nuts because once you start studying spiritual, you're just like, no one can even fucking agree what spiritual is. That's amazing. In fact, I would even argue that science is deliberately designed to never be able to properly address the spiritual aspects of things. This is the discussion that will be covered in later chapters of this ebook. I can find the time for it. Of course, spiritual experiences and beliefs are often subjective and personal, and therefore difficult to measure and quantify using scientific methods. It's even worse. You can't, for the most part, although I've had some weird, phenomenal experience shared with other people, it's only been like one person that's shared it with me. In other words, you can't demonstrate, prove, or even, to another person that your experience was real or not. It's up to them to believe in what you say or not, which now is a problem. Because belief is a problem. It surely is a problem. This is not to say that science and spirituality are mutually exclusive, but rather they address different aspects of our existence. For agnostic atheists who put all their faith in science, the limitations of scientific explanations may be frustrating. And on the other side, by the way, they may feel like there is something missing or incomplete in their understanding of the world, but not know how to fill that gap. In some cases, this can lead to a rejection of spirituality. What the fuck is spirituality? Altogether, as they may see it as irrational or unprovable. This can create to a closed-mindedness when it comes to the spiritual topics. Why not phenomenon? That drives me nuts. Because how do you know it's spiritual all the time? What qualifies as spiritual? You know what I mean? That people have, we're talking about out-of-body experiences, near-death experiences. How do you know that my encounters with Sasquatch weren't spiritual? How do you define what spiritual is? I'm not saying it's not something that's I use it all the time myself, but for some reason it's really affecting me reading this book. It's spiritual, okay? How do we know what? Because I've come to realize through interacting with other people that there is no consensus of what spiritual is. Some cases we lead to see irrational and unprovable, because multiple times says what it is. And irrational doesn't necessarily mean anything, and that is saying irrational and rational doesn't mean that the irrational is not real. That's the thing. Or the unprovable is not real. It just means it's unprovable and it's not rational to us. This can create a closed-mindedness when it comes to spiritual topics, as they may not be open to considering other perspectives and experiences that don't align with their scientific beliefs. And you'll find the same with spiritual people, so it's a double-edged sword. It certainly is that. It's important to remember that spirituality and science can coexist and complement each other, and that it is possible to have an open-minded approach to both. However, it is important to recognize the limitation of each and not to put all our faith in any source of knowledge or understanding. And I agree with that one. Thank you for putting that in there. I firmly believe that by exploring the concepts outlined in this ebook, readers may gain a deeper understanding of reincarnation. And I'm hoping this will be the case, and how to ensure that this is their final incarnation. I would hope that to be the case, if that's what they wish to do. I don't want to come back here. What's the point? I'll also, and the funny part thing is, I'll probably be forced to come back here 10,000 times because I don't want to come back here at all. That's my impression. That I wonder. This comes back to how much power I actually have. I will also make the claim that if each person had access to all of their memories of their past incarnations, what potentially came before, nobody would ever choose to reincarnate in this world. In this world is what it's supposed to be, and potentially in all other worlds again. Therefore, the central theme of this ebook is reincarnation. For those readers who may harbor skepticism towards this concept, I urge you to carefully examine the compelling evidence presented in this chapter before proceeding further. By doing so, you will gain deeper understanding of the significance of reincarnation and how it shapes our lives. Despite my acceptance of the evidence of an intelligent design behind our world and so-called vast expanse of space beyond it, which I am skeptical about. I am too. I don't think there's this vast space. It's all number magic is what it is. I still remain an agnostic atheist for 17 years. And now when it comes to the concept of the source of God that exists beyond everything and created everything, so I remain an agnostic atheist for 17 years now when it comes to the concept of God and existence beyond everything and created everything. This means that while I consider myself to be agnostic theist, so he's went from an agnostic atheist to agnostic theist is what he's labeling himself now. I consider myself to be an agnostic theist when it comes to the existence of a creator for the universe that we currently reside in. I remain an agnostic atheist when it comes to the creator of potential realms and everything else beyond the universe. Later in the ebook, I will delve into the topic of the source of God and explain in detail why I consider it a dangerous belief. Yeah, because you go to the other side and you see Allah or Jesus or Yahweh or whatever God it may be, and it's like, hey, I come with me, let's go back into the light. And you're right back in here, back in the game. Just what kind of place is this? You can't even trust your own eyes. It's amazing. If you can't trust your own eyes in the physical, how are you going to be able to trust your eyes in your perception and the spiritual? Epicurial, is that what it is? Fuck. For now on, let us just set aside the discussion of gods and focus on reincarnation. Interestingly, this belief system is bolstered by a wealth of compelling evidence. Many individuals who subscribe to the principle of rational materialism and mainstream science often reject the idea of reincarnation. Also, if you have influenced by the Abrahamic faith, you're going to have a hard time believing it, even though reincarnation is brought up in the New Testament and the Gospels, right? But those who keep an open mind and recognize the limitations of logic and reason and understand that some phenomena in the universe cannot be explained by them. It is fascinating to observe how the scientific mind becomes puzzled when presented with information that surpasses rational explanation. Reincarnation has been a part of various belief systems for centuries, and still is. This is one of my observations. Acknowledged as genuine in Tibetan Buddhism and Hinduism. Even the Catholic Church believes in reincarnation before the 4th century A.D. Look at the story of John the Baptist and Elias. It's certain the 4th century A.D. when their doctrines were standardized at the Council of Nicaea in 325, I don't know if the date's right, in AD. And in this chapter, we will explore the compelling evidence that supports the idea of reincarnation. Science provides us with a limited understanding of reality. As its perspective on life, its mysteries is often narrow. Those who claim that reincarnation cannot be studied scientifically are overlooking the considerable evidence that supports its existence. In fact, the evidence is so overwhelming that it's difficult to deny it at this point. I understand how assertive this may sound, but I urge you to examine the strong evidence that I have presented below. The renowned psychiatrist Ian Stevenson spent over 40 years studying reincarnation at the University of Virginia, military connections and government connections. Authored numerous peer-reviewed studies of the subject. He carefully examined 3,000 cases of very young children who remembered their past lives. After Stevenson's retirement, two of his students continued his work. Carol Bowman, one of his students, authored a book, Children's Past Lives, has contributed significantly to the programs focused on reincarnation. She also has worked with Jim B. Tugga, MD, who is the Banner Laureate Associate Professor. Is that what he's saying there? A Boner, or is it an O or an A? Boner Laurie. Bonner Laurie, Associate Professor of Psychiatry and Neurobehavioral Science at the University of Virginia. Dr. Jim Tucker, who has written several books on the case studies carried out by the Department of Perceptual Studies at the University of Virginia. In a YouTube interview with John Cleese, and Dr. Tucker explained that they have examined 1,500 cases of reincarnation using scientific protocols to measure the results. He also discussed some of the most compelling findings from their research. After examining all the scientific evidence presented by Ian Stevenson, it becomes clear that he provided compelling proof of reincarnation through the spontaneous recall of information about previous lives by thousands of children. Once carefully examined, there can be no other explanation for these cases than reincarnation. Stephen found that in hundreds of cases, the children recalled their lives were those of real people, and the details they remembered were highly accurate. In addition, he determined that it was impossible for these children to have known about the people they claimed to be reincarnations of, as the beliefs of reincarnation actually violate the family's belief systems in most cases. Furthermore, the vast majority of these families had no financial gain for the cases. Please examine all the evidence presented below to see the strength of evidence supporting reincarnation. And I will. I will, because this I would say this is the sticking point that I'm still dealing with. This is the point that I'm still like, I'm not yet. I've been watching what people say, and I'm not saying it's not true, but I'm 100 fully convinced of that. So, anyways, this is a very good place to stop. And in the meantime, then I'll look into this. So, for instance, this YouTube interview with John Cleese and Dr. Turner, and then I'll look at this interview to try to find this one with Mark, if it still exists. So, meanwhile, somebody is harassing me on Facebook. There's probably someone who wants to sell me something, or wants me to pay money so I can see their boobs. And Facebook sucks, man. God, this is